God's covenant with David. It came to pass when the king sat in his house, and the Lord had given him an inheritance on every side, free from all his enemies around him. The king said to Nathan the prophet, "See, now I now live in a house of cedar, but the ark of God dwells in the middle of a tent." Nathan said to the king, "Go and do everything that is in your heart, because the Lord is with you." But that night the word of the Lord came to Nathan, saying, "Go and tell my servant David, thus says the Lord, do not build a house for me to dwell in. To this day I have not dwelt in a house since the time I brought the sons of Israel up from Egypt, and I walked among you in a temporary place of lodging and in a tent. Wherever I went with all of Israel in that time, did I speak a word to anyone from the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to shepherd my people Israel, saying, Why have you not built me a house of cedar? So now tell my servant David, thus says the Lord Almighty, I took you from the sheepfold to be ruler over my people, over Israel, and I have been with you in all things whenever you have gone, and have cut off all your enemies from before you, and have made your name held in high honor, according to the great ones on the earth. And I will appoint a place for my people of Israel, and will plant them so that they may dwell in a place of their own, and be anxious no more. No more shall the sons of wickedness humiliate them, as they have done since the beginning, since the days I appointed judges over my people Israel. And I shall give you rest from all your enemies. Await the Lord to tell you when to build him a house. And it shall come about, when your days are fulfilled, and rest with your fathers, I will raise up your seed after you, who will come from your body, and I will prepare his kingdom. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish his throne forever. I will be a father to him, and he shall be to me a son. And if he commits iniquity, I will chasten him with rod of men and with the blows of the sons of men. But I will not take my mercy from him, as I took it from those whom I withdrew from my presence, and his house will be made sure, and his kingdom shall be forever. Nathan told David each of these words and all of this vision. Notes from the previous page. 6:12 through 19. Having seen that the ark has brought the blessing to the house of a Philistine, David is willing to have it enter Jerusalem after all. See First Chronicle, or First chapter, First Chronicle 15:25 through 29. Greeting the ark with dancing is perhaps an import from Canaanite practices. A tabernacle, tent of meeting, is pitched for the ark in Jerusalem. The distribution of the offering, and thus is the blessing associated with it, is made from Dan to Beersheba, the geographical boundaries of Israel at the height of David's rule. 6:20 through 23. David returns to bring the blessing into his home, only to be reproached by Michal, who is childless. Thus, there is no continuation of Saul's lineage by means of their marriage. 7:1 through 3. David has united the tribes under his kingship, established Jerusalem as his capital, and lives in a house paneled with cedar. The ark, though now brought up to the city, remains in the tabernacle he pitched for it, a tent. He seeks advice from Nathan the prophet, who instructs him to build a temple for the ark. 7:4 through 17. In a dream, God informs Nathan that David is not to build the temple. His descendant Solomon will build it. This serves to remind Nathan and David that God himself is in charge and will issue the instructions indeed. God himself will establish the throne and house and kingdom forever. See Psalms 88:28 and Isaiah 55:3.